Welcome back, everybody. This is Sejong with Valdez and Wolf here at the SPL. Happy to have you down with us watching some great Starcraft and some good upsets. Trap taking out TY and Creator taking out Lucira. Jin Air up 2-0.
All right, every time we see some of these losing posts, I have to highlight which ones are the best. Like, TY and Lucira have two of the best for sure.
Yeah.
I want to see them lose more often. As we jump into this third matchup, if Zest is able to win it, we will go to that fourth match. But if Rogue puts off another upset, which is totally possible here, I mean, then it's a 3-0.
I mean, Rogue did it once before, right? Rogue was able to take down Zest and move them on to the next round with those Baneling drops against Zest with the Phoenixes. So this is kind of a revenge match for Zest. He wants to reclaim his title against Rogue, essentially, after losing that somewhat embarrassing game and not spotting the Baneling drops coming in. And Zest, I mean, he's on a roll, man. He's on fire. He's one of the most winning players. He wrecked his group at GSL, and he's looking good to go all the way to the round of 4 because he's up against Tasia in the round of 8. Definitely the favorite there.
Oh, yeah, no question about that. Sorry, fanboys. But he's 7-2 currently. A win here would actually differentiate him and actually put him as first because he and Maro are both at 7, I believe. But if a win here would actually put him at 8. But then Maro could potentially tie that as well in the following game. Funny how that is. But Rogue also has an incredible win record. If you look at his versus Protoss, it's 0-2, but that doesn't include the playoff game because we don't actually put those in the stats because all-kill format has a lot of unpredictability to it, basically, so that's always been removed from stats here in Pro League, for those wondering about that. Tactics here for Rogue after that Baneling game, going through the roof, about to bust out the top there.
Just give him 11 in tactics and finish it off there, basically.
A pretty close matchup between these two, history-wise, in the 14 games they played. Zest is only 8-6.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I feel like Zest has been more consistent for a longer period of time, but I mean, Rogue was really on top of his game for 2015 as well. So very even from these guys' games in 2015, but you can see that Zest gets all 7 votes this time. Not even Monday Caster going for Rogue. So can Rogue get the upset again against Zest, or is Zest going to keep KT's hopes alive tonight? Up here in the top left, the red Protoss from KT Rollster. It is Zest.
Best is Zest. Down here, the bottom right, in green, the Jin Air Green Wings player. It is Rogue, known as the sexy boy Zerg here in Korea.
Rogue is in vogue, man.
That's right. Rogue in vogue, I like that. He needs to be on the cover.
Or you could call him Log, whatever is your taste.
It depends on who's announcing him in the GSL. Well, this is the revenge match for Zest, and everybody has full faith in him when it comes to the commentator predictions. I said even Monday Caster going for him here.
Do you remember Zest's domination on this map? King Sejong Station from last year. I mean, he would play Terrans over and over again. They would try the SCV pull and pull the boys all the time, and he would just have the perfect force fields, delay until he got that extra 1 Colossus, that extra warp in.
Yeah, Storm,
delay
if he
again,
went for that. Yeah,
Storm coming out, he gets it right on time. He made it look easy, man. His control was really, really fantastic on this map. This is one of his favorite maps. He used to come out here all the time. But then again, I think Rogue used to as well.
Yeah, Rogue was really great on this map. I think the best player on this map was definitely Roro, even though he retired shortly after the map became popular. But like, when I think about this map and ZVPs, I think about Roro and I think about Biel. They both had, like, I think the best ZVP on this map. But yeah, Rogue definitely played on this map a lot as well for Jin Air. These other players I'm mentioning are non-Jin Air players. So he ended up coming out for his team here quite a bit. And this map was in Heart of the Swarm played very differently than we'll ever see it here, because it was basically Blink Stalker timing attacks, breaking down the rocks and attacking the Zerg, trying to kill them before they teched up. And it was usually just +2 Blink Stalkers every single time, like almost every single game on this map. And Zest played on this map versus Terran a lot, like you mentioned. He did proxy oracles a lot. He did all sorts of different builds. He was very unpredictable. I'm curious to see how this is going to go in this matchup, because I think he's just going to go Phoenixes again. He showed it already in his previous match versus Rogue in the playoffs. Obviously a different map, a different scenario here. But I would expect to see that out of Zest.
Remember the Zerg build on, I think it was 2 bases, you break down your rocks, and it was in ZVC, you would go around the Overlords and you would just attack like that with the Road Rush with Speedling all in. I don't know, I'm just kind of reminiscing about this map and the old builds we used to see.
I remember that. It was definitely really cool.
Yeah. Tons of games of Zerg versus Mech too, or just Zerg versus Bio even, where the Terran would get a planetary in the middle of the map and it would be like, well, I guess we got to play this for an extra 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah, we saw even some of the shenanigans with the double Roach Warren from like Departure versus Hero, where it's like, okay, bro, Roach is rushed. You just went Blink Stalker +2, so you don't have an Observer and you die. We saw that on this map a little bit, and even though that became more popular once the map pool changed, it was like one of the, it was born on this map, I would say. Double Stargate here even for Zest, so he's really going Phoenixes.
Yeah, this is different. This is, he gets his 2 gates first, and he's been putting on some Adept Harass to begin, and then the double Stargate, as you mentioned. I suppose this could be an Adept Phoenix kind of play, an Adept Phoenix timing here. Maybe with like 8 Phoenixes, 10 Phoenixes, and a bunch of Adepts out of 3 gates. No Twilight Council just yet, so not sure if he is going to commit to getting the Glaives upgrade here just yet, but let's see how this build does pan out.
3 more Adepts. So, I mean, he may be trying to fake that. He may want Rogue to think that that's what he's doing as he takes a 3rd base. Because the Phoenixes obviously can clean up scouts as well. Oh, sickest Probe. Probe's like, yeah. He's like showing his rear end to that Zergling too. He's like, I'm not even going to turn around.
Yeah. Like I care about you, Zergling. What are you to me? I can make buildings. What do you do? Here are a bunch of Adepts to harass once again. The Lings are going to try to go for a surround, I suppose, but nice shades by Zest to just, you know, save his Adepts and just try to get a couple of kills, do some harass. But the Lings want to come in here before that shade is up again, and they are going to get a full surround. Really nice move here by Rogue.
Looks like almost all of them, if not all of them, will go down. Okay, 3 survive. Just barely there at the end. Without the Glaives, they definitely were not going to get a positive trade versus those Lings. Even with them, they wouldn't have, but wouldn't have been as bad. Really slowing down this potential push here from Zest. I think he should just take a 3rd base here. Use the Phoenixes for more scouting, more control of the map, and you know, just continue to further his macro. Baneling Nest, spotting, and an Evo Chamber. I mean, we're late enough into the game where he's going to need upgrades anyways, but definitely will synergize to drop with those Banelings.
Yeah, Rogue taking a page out of Dark's book. He's like, yeah, I like Banelings too. Let me use those. Those seem pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue was the first one to do the Baneling drop strat. It's almost like they worked together to build this. And then Dark was like, well, it's not just about the drops. It's like you just make a lot of Banelings and win the game.
Yeah. A million Lings and Banes. You got to surround and the Banelings roll in. Doesn't matter what you're facing, even if he's got like 5 Archons. They bunch up too. Banelings do a lot of damage if you have enough of them.
Yeah, even if you have a lot of sentries, it's like, well, if you put a lot of sentries, my Hydra Falls will do a lot of work. Speaking of which, Hydra's on the way here. Going to be helpful, obviously, at defending this attack coming out. It looks like those Banelings may just be used defensively as well. He didn't get his units fast enough now, though, and I think Zest is looking at this like, man, I wish I shaded faster. There's like literally nothing here. And these Hydras, as they pop out slowly one by one, the Phoenixes can actually help deal with them. They can help deal with the Banelings as well. And this positioning is totally denying all mining time at the natural. He's losing all mining. No, not a single drone is mining.
And look at this. Not even any Hydras coming out here. The Adepts in a perfect position. I feel like Zest almost being too safe. Just deciding to back off and transition here as he does get his 3rd base up and running. And kind of an interesting spot. You know, he forces out a bunch of units from Rogue, delays that 4th base from Rogue. You know, Rogue only now on 51 drones as a lot more kills come down here from the mass amount of Phoenixes that are out here. 10 so far on the map.
Adding a few sentries in now because of those Banelings. Always going to be helpful. +1 armor coming out for Zest, or excuse me, for Rogue. So that's interesting because, okay, there's the +1 attack. I was going to say, with only armor, like, what is he really thinking here? But he wants to go more Baneling-centric for the upgrades. It also allows an Ultraless transition later on, because you're going to have, when you have your Hive tech, either Ultras or Greater Spire tech. So the missile upgrades for the Hydras here not as important. Even though if he goes for an attack at the third base, they will be. I think the Baneling upgrade's much more important at this point in time. Finally, the latest Twilight Council of all time here, coming down at 7:30 for Zest, allow him to get the Glaive upgrade, as well as +2 attack. Once his +1 is finished, it's getting closer. It's on its way. And these Phoenixes are just controlling this map again.
Yeah, I love how, I was about to say, I love how Rogue has not skipped on the Spore Crawlers. There's 7 on the map, but somehow, someway, Zest still finds an angle. And look at this, Hydra's popping out. It doesn't matter if there's 1 Spore out there when you have 10 Phoenixes. You can easily eat that damage from your shields and pick off a couple of units here and there.
Yeah, just look at the supplies. When you look at the difference here, I mean, he's down 10 workers as a Zerg. He's on even bases, and he's looking for a little bit of harassment here at the backdoor rocks. And maybe he can roll Banelings in there later after he kills them. But because he's actually breaking the rocks down with Zerglings, it's actually really funny because they can just be deflected by ranged units. We see this all the time on the map when you try to use Lings, they just don't really work. Yeah, and Hydra's coming over here to push the Phoenixes away. A Lurker Den is on the way, and I feel like Rogue is kind of desperate to find the next step. It looks like those Banelings were just going to be used purely for the defense, but they got lifted. There were only 3 of them, and I'm really liking Zest's position in this game. Rogue going to have to sit back, take the 4th base, trying to re-examine what he's doing in this game.
Yeah, I really love the small, well, I guess it's a big group of Phoenixes in this matchup too, because when you get 10, even if the key number of Lurkers that you usually get in this matchup is like 12, I'd say. If you're really pushing it, you can go up to 14 or 16, but like it's usually 10 at least, unless you're like really starving. So having just 10 Phoenixes on the map for when you first go for that engage to get the rest of your Protoss army in position is perfect. You get some detection over there, lift every single Lurker, go in, stop them from burrowing, and you just get your Archons, your Immortals into position. You fight against all the Hydras and Lings first, and then you just fight only the Lurkers, and it's really a nice composition for the Protoss.
All right, Force Field's going down here. He does lose, I think, a Phoenix or 2 there, and a Stalker, I think, was the other unit that went down.
Whoa.
But, looks like this hit over here with this Archon Zealot force is looking to engage into Lings, because that's going to be the perfect comp to fight Lings. But Hydra's come in as well. This is going to be a great trade for Rogue. However, looks like during all of this, he's going to lose his 4th base, so he throws this army away. He's that far ahead that he can just trade Zealots and Archons for a hatchery.
Yeah, this is a cool way to get ahead. It's like, I'm going to just bring so many units into the back that you cannot ignore it. You have to bring the majority of your army over there, and then I'm going to snipe your 4th base.
His army is just so much bigger, he doesn't even care. He's like, I guess I'll lift the Hydras because you don't have Lurkers here. It was like the worst trade ever, but it still doesn't matter because he has that much larger of an army. And now he's got just a chunk of Immortals here. He might want to consider just backing off. He already killed the hatchery, this other hatchery. Maybe he could just back off and try to hit that instead on his way out. Because Fungals are locking down these units. Finally, some reinforcing Zealots coming up here with a few Adepts. And it looks like Zest may just clean up the game. Look, even 4 Zealots going to totally decimate this mineral line. 5 of them, I should say. And I think this may, funny as it is, end the game here. He was just so far ahead.
GG. There you go. Zest keeping KT in the matchup here, as we expected. This time even Monday Caster with us on this. 7 votes for him, and he does get the victory.
He's going to pass us, man. He's like 100% correct rate so far today.
So Zest does force that 4th map too. So we will be seeing Maru versus Stats up here tonight, guys.
That is going to be sick. If Stats is able to take the win, which wouldn't be that big of an upset, really. I mean, it would be somewhat of an upset, but I feel like this 4th game is the match where it's really hard to say exactly who's going to take it. But if Stats does beat Maru, coming off of his loss in the SSL Finals, then we will have an ace match. But he needs to take that win because Zest has already done step 1. He is the guy to do step 2 to force that ace. Otherwise, Maru up at 7 wins, gets that 8th to tie Zest again, and the game ends.
He's 7-0 too.
Yeah.
So if Stats takes the win, he is going to kill Maru's streak and stop him at 7-1. For me, I have a huge amount of faith in Maru. I mean, this guy, he's not in any individual leagues right now. He's only focusing on Pro League. He is not losing. Every single time he comes out, he looks pristine, really on point, like the Maru we always knew and love. Whereas Stats, he just had to practice for a PVC final, a best of 7, and he got crushed, to be honest. Like, he took 2 games, but they were really, really close games. Dark was dominating him for the majority of the night, and you could even see on his face at times that Stats was having trouble with his mentality, keeping himself together on that big stage. So is Stats going to be ready to fight Maru here, the guy who has won the most games and is undefeated so far in Pro League and has nothing else to focus on? I don't think so, Wolf.
I don't disagree with you. I really feel like Maru is the favorite here.